Thanks so much for joining us on 13 News at noon. I'm Felicia Lawrence on the desk this afternoon for Karen Campbell. And we are now in day 7 of the Delphi murders trial. And yesterday, on day 6, we learned about the first time investigators interviewed Richard Allen. We also learned how they revisited him as a suspect years after the murders of Abby Williams and Libby German. The jury also saw pictures of more than 25 knives and box cutters they took from Allen's home, along with several phones and pagers. And they saw the gun. This is the gun that police believe Allen had that day. Our Bob Siegel was in the courtroom today for day 7 developments.
Day 7 of testimony here in the Delphi murders trial is really focused on walking the jury and everyone in the courtroom through the world of tool mark examination. This morning, the witness, Melissa Oberg, she used to work as an Indiana State Police firearm examiner, and she is the examiner who tested the bullet cartridge found at the crime scene where Abby and Libby were murdered and compared that to evidence found from Richard Allen's home, including a gun that was taken during a search warrant there. Oberg spent an hour just walking the jury through what is tool mark examination. How does it work? How does she do her job? At one point, she took out an actual gun and put a cartridge into that gun, standing about 10 feet away from the jury, and she was able to cycle a cartridge, cycle a bullet, a round through that firearm so the jury could see exactly what she was talking about. From there, then she started showing photographs of the actual cartridge that was found at the crime scene, and coming up, we expect her to explain how she was able to match that up and match that cartridge to a gun that was found in Richard Allen's home. So today, very technical testimony, but important testimony, because that single cartridge found at the crime scene is one of the main pieces of evidence that has allowed state police and the prosecutor to allege that Richard Allen is the man who killed Abby and Libby. We'll have more on the testimony, a lot more coming up today from day 7 of testimony here in Delphi. Back to you.
All right, Bob Siegel in Delphi right now, headed back to the courtroom. So every weeknight at 10, we take a closer look at the testimony. You can watch our Delphi debrief on WTHR Plus, the streaming app. That show also airs at 9 a.m. WTHR Plus is a free download on Apple TV, Amazon Fire Stick, and Roku. All right, we're going to take a live look outside right now because we did see some scattered showers and thunderstorms earlier this morning, but now the sun is peeking out a bit and we have some crisp temperatures as we head into the weekend. The rain was what we needed.
Well, yeah, and we still have a few showers, few rumbles of thunder still left over on radar here. A sight for sore eyes and a nice pleasant sound to wake up to this morning as well. It wasn't a lot. It's certainly not going to bust up a drought, but at this point we'll take whatever we can get. Let's set the stage here at this noon hour. And yeah, I mentioned we still have a shower thunderstorm. They're going to be hit and miss, more concentrated near and south of I-70 between now and 4 o'clock. Heads up there if you live along Lake Lemon, this downpour heading your way. These are all going to be moving east today. You see that flash of lightning, so don't be surprised. Nashville, Columbus, Seymour over the next couple of hours if you get a splash and dasher or a rumble of thunder here. But for most, the rain action is going to be over. And it wasn't a whole lot. 2/100 of an inch of rain officially in Indy. Still at the driest October on record thus far. We've circled this zone where between now and again about 3 or 4 o'clock might have a stray shower, rumble of thunder move through. As we get ready for sectional football tonight, Operation Football, clouds will have way more bark than bite. The wind will be noticeable, cooler temperatures, and maybe a shower over southern Indiana. We'll have your weekend planner, and we are not done with the warmth yet. Much more coming up in the 7-day forecast.
All right, Sean, it all sounds good. So this afternoon, a Plainfield police officer has resigned after chasing a suspect and crashing into an uninvolved car, killing 2 people. Barbara and Benny Williams died in August after that crash along US 40. Avon police led the criminal investigation, discovering the officer was driving 100 miles per hour seconds before impact. They determined the officer failed to drive with heightened risk awareness as he entered the intersection before the crash. And an Indianapolis man was just sentenced to 50 years for a series of armed robberies across Indianapolis. Police arrested Giovanni Sanders in 2022 as he fled the scene of 2 robberies. Then investigators used photo, video, and cell phone evidence to tie him to at least 15 robberies in the city. Sanders took a plea deal back in September. 40 of his 50-year sentence will be served in prison, with the other 10 years suspended. And a former Brownsburg teacher will not spend any time behind bars for her role in making a student with special needs eat his own throw up in the cafeteria. Julie Taylor pleaded guilty to a failure to report and was given 90 days probation. Police say during the incident, Taylor provided a tray for the 7-year-old student to throw up on before another teacher forced him to eat it. 2 other former staffers were charged with neglect of a dependent. They're both set to go on trial next year. Well, right now, many parents are calling for safety changes outside Burge Terrace Christian School. This is on the southeast side of Indianapolis. They say the 50-mile-per-hour speed limit on Brookville Road is a problem. One mother tells us she was driving her 3 boys to school when she says a driver came behind her, frustrated, and followed her onto school property, then verbally berated her. It's a tipping point for her and other parents as well.
Something needs to take place. There's not one parent that I know that goes here that hasn't had something take place, some sort of incident, whether it's somebody speeding or doing something inappropriate.
Tell us they tried to take action. They say they've been calling NDOT every week since the beginning of September to ask for a school zone speed limit reduction or school flashing lights. So far, nothing has been done. So we reached out to NDOT and they tell us they have received complaints from parents and they will contact the school about any possible solutions. The 3 candidates running for Indiana governor faced off in their final debate last night. Our Logan Gay shares the key takeaways from the debate.
Thursday night, Democrat Jennifer McCormick, Libertarian Donald Rainwater, and Republican Mike Braun answered your questions about what they would do if given the opportunity to be Indiana's next governor. They covered topics including abortion access, legalizing marijuana, and affordable housing.
We're not going to fix it through government. We want to make sure that our own state gets out of the way, doesn't have regulations that are going to make it difficult, but entrepreneurs will figure that out.
One of the things that affects affordable housing is property taxes. And we need to do 2 things with property taxes. 1, we need to make sure that they never go up. 2, we need to make sure that they have an end date. And we need to go ahead and refocus on actually rehabbing areas so that there's affordable housing for young families.
But it goes back to our common sense property tax plan, but it also goes back to fair lending and making sure that we're protecting our renters and being a good partner with our local level leaders.
As for gun rights and regulations, this is what they had to say about any changes they might support.
I own a gun. I am very pro Second Amendment. No one's coming for anybody's guns. It's about responsible ownership and responsible use. It's also about making sure that we get the care that is needed when people are vulnerable and may need assistance in area of mental health.
Red flag laws have worked well here. They need to be actually improved, though, because that is the first step to keep guns out of the hands of the mentally ill, or folks that are having trouble with some issue and they resort to a gun. Keeping guns out of the hands of criminals.
I oppose the red flag laws because we're that close to our government telling us that because we go to this church or we're a member of that organization that we have a mental defect and therefore they need to take our guns.
The debate ended with how they plan to serve all Hoosiers, including the ones who may not vote for them. But ultimately, only one of them will get the opportunity to prove it. In Indianapolis, Logan Gay, 13 News.
Thank you, Logan. And Mike Braun was the only candidate who did not stay after the debate to answer questions from the media. But we were told that he made that decision before the debate started. And more than 1,300 students, faculty, and staff got a chance to vote early yesterday on the Purdue campus in West Lafayette. You'll remember the Tippecanoe County Election Board initially said no campus site met its requirements for a satellite voting location. but advocates pushed back. So the board allowed 1 day of voting on campus, and voters waited in long lines to cast ballots. Purdue students who did not vote yesterday can go to the other polling locations around the county. We have a list on WTHR.com.